is brought to you by Frag Pro Shooter. Stay tuned for more.
The newer generation, there's nobody better than Lil Baby right now.
He's on fire.
There's nobody better than him. We seen all this. We as hip-hop historians,
Yes.
we saw when Lil Wayne emerged. We saw when Eminem emerged. And Lil Baby's in the lane by himself right now.
One of the best things about hip-hop is that it's always evolving. And just when you think that the genre has fallen off, something will come along and rock the boat. From chart positions to geographical dominance, everything is up for grabs. For example, if you'd have told an old school hip hop head that one day the genre would be run by colorful dreadheaded mumble rappers, they'd say you were crazy. Likewise, if you'd have told someone during the initial 90s boom of gangster rap or during 50 Cent and G-Unit's peak that one day bars about the streets would become outdated for a period, it'd be hard to imagine. Ever since Schooly D and NWA brought their unfiltered realities to the rap game, the conduct of the streets have continued to be a force in the culture. And while it's birthed plenty of megastars and timeless albums, it has had its drawbacks. Not only due to street politics encroaching into hip-hop and claiming rappers' lives, but due to its popularity overshadowing every other approach to the game. A fixture of the culture's mindset for decades, gangster rap sway was once so potent that Kanye wearing a pink polo was deemed shocking. Similarly, there were still pockets of debate as to whether Drake's Take Care was too soft to be classified as hip-hop when it was released in 2011. But at the same time that Drake was bearing his soul to the world, artists ranging from Tyler the Creator to Childish Gambino were embracing their more unconventional spirits and resonating with audiences in the process. And suddenly, gangster rap began to feel marginalized. When there was just gangster rap, all these people were like, well, I rap, but I'm too effeminate to be a rapper, or whatever, I'm too big of a nerd. Rap Genius founder Mabad Mogadam said in 2012, but now it's open for everybody. Now, hip-hop has become one of the most diversified genres ever. And to some critics and listeners, this had rendered the hard-edged sound of the streets almost irrelevant. Speaking of Vlad TV in 2017, Rock of famed New York duo Helter Skelter even went as far to say that the last real street rapper was already in our midst.
Like, that's why I f with Meek Mill. Cause Meek Mill is the last of us. He's the last of hardcore MCs that blew up. On some street, arms crossed it, grabbing your I smoke weed, smack the out you. I got 20 guns in the back of the Jeep. He was the last one. We definitely not making none of you aggressive powerful. You snuck in here after 50? That's it. Drugs and dresses. That's what you rapping about.
But while Rock laid out a grim prognosis for the future of street rap, what he didn't account for is that not only were a new breed of grimy MCs emerging from the trenches, but they would soon be leaving the successes of Meek's generation in the dust. Alright, so it's time to talk about this week's sponsor, Frag Pro Shooter. If you haven't played Frag by now, then you're most definitely missing out. Easily the best free first-person shooter available for mobile devices, Frag gives you the chance to test your mettle against friends from all over the world in an action-packed, vibrant game that will have you battling for hours on end. The premise is simple. You and your team just need to destroy the enemy bunker, and whoever can cause the most damage in 3 minutes wins. And because it's in your pocket, you can play with friends and strangers any place, anywhere. Now 3 years into its existence, Frag's online community continues to grow, and so do the possibilities for its gameplay. No matter what your style is, Frag has over 500 characters to assemble a team from, which allow you to put your own stamp on their hyperactive and colorful world. Whether you're a new player or a veteran of the game, Frag is offering our viewers a series of sought-after rewards that will allow you to give your team a serious boost. To claim your free rewards, head on over to the link in the description and have a Frag experience like never before. With that being said, let's get back to the video.
Lil Baby went on record as saying you used to pay him just to focus on rap.
That didn't know who he was. I used to read that young captions and on his pictures like, I'm calling that like, bro, you know you can rap, bro, like, you tripping. Just to groom him to, you really can get paid from doing it, like, no cap.
It's one thing to believe in somebody once they believing in themselves. It's something totally different to see something in somebody before they can see it in themselves.
5 years on from Rock's mournful comments, the hottest rapper in the industry is a man that had to be physically coerced out of the trap. Taken from a budding young talent to a superstar at a rapid pace, Lil Baby has since become the game's biggest commodity and enjoys almost universal respect among his peers. Even when Andre 3000 was listing off the rappers that he'd hoped to collaborate with, Baby found himself front and center along a Hall of Fame-worthy lineup that included Jay-Z and Tyler the Creator. Along the way, he's become one of the key figures that have helped to bring the focus of hip-hop back to the hood, and in doing so, has achieved sales that outpaced almost any modern MC. When his sophomore album, My Turn, dropped in 2020, he racked in over 197,000 units in the first week, not only outdoing 2018's Harder Than Ever by more than double, but scoring the best-selling album of the year, period. praised across the demographics, pinpointing exactly what makes Lil Baby tower above so many other MCs, all comes down to one age-old commodity in hip-hop: his authenticity. Because when a rapper has truly lived it, you can feel it. Focused on his craft, rather than coordinating an escape into another industry, it seems like the leader of 4PF is now capable of skyrocketing to the top of the charts at will. Now, even his collab projects such as he and Lil Durk's 2021 project, The Voice of the Heroes, can rake in over 150,000 units with little to no promotion. The project that landed Durk his first #1, he, along with Florida's Kodak Black, have exploded in popularity in recent years. And while the heartfelt instrumentals and infectious flows that both men enlist likely serve as part of the puzzle, what fans really gravitate to is, once again, that unmistakable honesty that comes from using music as a path to forge a better life, and more pressingly, process all that you've endured. Focusing less on the shooting and bloodshed in favor of examining the sorrow that it brings, modern-day street rap is one that is intertwined with trauma. And in this area, no rapper has done more to popularize the sound of the streets for a new era quite like Baton Rouge's NBA Youngboy. Fueled by anger and an inability to let his turbulent life get the best of him, NBA Youngboy has captivated a generation of fans. And in doing so, he not only became the biggest artist on YouTube and ran circles around the competition, but recently joined the esteemed company of Tupac and Lil Wayne in managing to obtain a #1 album from behind bars with 2021's Sincerely Kentrell. A hustler who's willing to give fans as much music as they can handle, the Louisiana rapper has a whole cross-section of hip-hop proclaiming that YB is better. But rather than being an opinion that only his stans have for him, Youngboy's stature in the game was also noted by a man who knows a thing or two about generational talent.
I think NBA Youngboy might be the biggest rapper. Ain't no gonna be bigger than NBA Youngboy. Numbers don't lie.
Yeah.
He the biggest YouTube artist right now in the world, and he behind the wall. When that little boy get his mind right, and he come from under this bull and understand who he is, NBA Youngboy, bro, that ain't normal. Nah, he not normal. He's special. Big money right there, brother. I think he's $1 billion.
From Youngboy and 42 Dugg becoming two of the most notable features on Tyler the Creator's Call Me If You Get Lost, to Pooh Shiesty raking in 62,000 units with a mixtape on last year's Shiesty season, it's clear that the streets are no longer cordoned off from the rest of hip-hop culture as though they were somehow lesser than. Instead, they're in the foreground once more, and over the past few years, the popularity of gritty, trap-infused output has exploded. For evidence of how street rap has gone from strength to strength and is now leading the charge, look no further than 21 Savage and Metro Boomin's Savage Mode series. When they released their first installment in 2016, the project was immediately regarded as a landmark moment for their era and was seen as 21's strongest outing to date. But it only sold around 11,000 units in its first week before later obtaining gold certification a year down the line. Meanwhile, Savage Mode 2 not only had star-studded interludes from Morgan Freeman and was seen as one of the prestige releases of 2020, but moved 195,000 copies in the same time period. That's a staggering 1,000% increase. On the other hand, an artist such as Cordae, who was appointed by some as a beacon of hope for hip-hop in some circles, saw his sales actually take a downturn between his debut album and 2022's From a Bird's Eye View, despite features from Gunna, Lil Wayne, Her, and even Stevie Wonder. In the same vein, a revered artist such as Denzel Curry may be broadly beloved and is rightly lauded for his abilities, but this doesn't translate into sales. And to date, his best-selling album, Zoo, logged 17,000 in its first week. Granted, units aren't everything when it comes to gauging the value of art and creativity, but what they are is an indicator of what is connecting with audiences on a global scale. And in this sense, it's clear that the Lil Babies, NBA Youngboys, and 21 Savages of the world are running rings around almost everyone. However, it's important to point out that saying street rap as a whole is leading the way would be a generalization. Instead, it's the trap-based strain of it that really excels. When it comes to street music, Freddie Gibbs would unequivocally fall into this category, but he still commands a cult fanbase, as do Benny the Butcher, Conway the Machine, and Westside Gunna Griselda. And even if a coke rap elder spokesman such as Pusha T can move 77,000, it's still a far cry from the 197,000 of a My Turn. Whether older heads would be receptive to the idea or not, it's clear that for a whole era of fans, these rappers are the equivalent of the all-star gangster rappers of days gone by. Rather than being disillusioned with it, what the likes of Kodak and Lil Baby provide is either a window into a familiar world that resonates, or a glimpse into one that's so removed from your own that you can't help but be enthralled. So while Lil Durk boldly going toe-to-toe with Ye by announcing that he'll drop the same day as Down to 2 may seem crazy at face value, and Kodak Black claiming that he wants to face Jay-Z in a versus seems absurd, let's not forget that we all thought it was Mr. West who was going to come up short when he squared off in a chart battle with 50 Cent. While this strand of street rap may leave some critics unmoved, it's undeniable that with the rise of hip-hop as the most popular genre on the planet, there's literally no ceiling on what these MCs can achieve. So So unless the streaming world does a drastic 180, you can expect that in the years to come, there'll be plenty of other bold, uncompromising rappers who will be joining Lil Baby, Durk, Kodak Black, and 21 to ensure that the streets will have pole position.